Learning the basics of Procreate and applying those skills to make beautiful nail design ideas is a lot easier than you guys think, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do it no matter your skill level. Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to edit the nail design templates using Procreate. So this is a very beginner friendly tutorial. However, we are going to be going super in depth in Procreate, and I'm going to show you a ton of tips and everything you need to know to edit the templates. So this tutorial is following my big relaunch of my revamped nail design templates, which you can get on my website. I'll have it linked down below. I have 30 different styles of templates. Styles just meaning shapes and lengths. We have lengths from natural all the way to extendo, and shapes ranging from square, coffin, stiletto, almond, round. You basically name it, and I have that type of template. Now, if there is a style of template that you guys want that I don't currently have, I would highly suggest that you guys leave it down below in the comments so I can go ahead and create that for you. Now, the cool thing about my templates is they do have a transparent nail area, which just allows you to very quickly edit these templates and keep the template looking clean and professional. Now, in this video, I'm also going to be showcasing my newest product, the Rhinestone pack. This is a free digital download that you guys can use for your templates. The Rhinestone pack allows you to very quickly and professionally add rhinestones to your nail design templates, making them next level. So since this is a beginner-friendly tutorial, I want to very quickly go over what Procreate actually is. Procreate is a really in-depth drawing app created by Apple, so this is an Apple devices only program, and they do offer this for iPad as well as iPhones and iPods, which is the Procreate Pocket. Now, this is a paid application, so unfortunately you are going to have to spend a little bit of money to use this application. However, it is definitely worth it. Let me tell you, I spend all of my free time on Procreate, whether that's on my iPad or on my iPhone. I love this app and I highly recommend it. Unfortunately, Procreate is not paying me or sponsoring me for this video, which you should, by the way. So those opinions are truly mine. So in this video, I'm going to be covering every single topic that you need to know when it comes to using Procreate, especially for the nail design templates. However, if there is something that I miss or you think that I should include in future videos for Procreate, please leave it down below in the comments. Let's go ahead and get started with this tutorial. So here's my iPad mini, and I struggled a lot with this setup for this video today, so I apologize if it's a little hard to see anything, but let's go ahead and get started. So here's the app Procreate. I'm going to go over a super quick tutorial on the layout. So once you open up Procreate, you're going to have all of your projects. Now keep in mind, if you are just now getting Procreate, you're probably not going to have anything here. I have quite a lot, and these are all of my different styles of templates. So whenever you're first creating your project, you want to click this little plus button, and then it's going to give you options for canvas size. Personally, I usually lean towards square or screen size, but it just depends what kind of image that I'm creating. So if you want a square one and you click square, it's going to open up your canvas. Now basically this is the layout, and it's very similar on Procreate Pocket as well. Some things are a little bit moved around though. Up here in the right hand corner, you're going to have your color picker. Now it has different types, which is something I really like. They have the disc, they have classic, which you can change with these sliders as well. There's the harmony, which allows you to pick the complementary color of whatever color that you're picking, which is really cool. There's also value, and I typically use value whenever I'm doing something for my brand because I can use the hex code, and I can just input this right here and get the exact color that I need for my branding. There's also one called palettes, and this one is really cool because you can insert a photo. So if you hit this little plus button at the top, you can click new from photos, and then you can select any photo that you want to pull colors from. Let's say you liked this color, you can tap it and it will automatically pull all of the different colors from that image, which is really cool. The next most important thing is obviously the brush. So right here we have different brushes. I have downloaded some from the internet, as you can see here, and I typically lean towards like free brushes, but you can also purchase brushes from like Etsy and different creators that create brushes and sell them. Procreate itself has a lot of different brushes that you guys can pick from. Typically for most things that I draw, I use the calligraphy monoline. So I have kind of made my own version. As you can see, monoline 3, honestly, it's not that much different from the original monoline. So basically, you're already ready to start drawing. You can change the brush size over here on the left, and it just makes it bigger. And you can also change the opacity on the bottom slider. There is the undo button right underneath all of that, or you can use 2 fingers. So let's say you're drawing and you don't like it, but you don't want to completely undo it. You can click the eraser, and if you click it again, it just gives you a list of the same brushes that Procreate offers and the ones that you might download. So you can change the style of eraser, and again, it's just a typical eraser. There is also the smudge tool. Again, you can double tap again for different ranges of brushes. This one just kind of smudges, it's a little small, kind of just smudges your artwork. So one of the biggest and most important things when it comes to using Procreate, especially for the nail design templates, is the layers. So this little square button right here just shows you all of the layers that you're working with. Right here we have the background color. You can just tap that, and again, you can just pick whatever color you want for your background, or you can even uncheck it for a PNG. So basically, if you want to draw something and have the background completely transparent, you'd want to make sure that you don't have a background color selected, and then when you go to save it, you just save it as a PNG. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and go through this little section right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and draw something just so you guys can see what happens whenever you do these types of effects. So I'm gonna start with this little magic wand. If you tap it, you can do all sorts of things, and this is really cool. So the first option here is kind of obvious. You have hue, saturation, and brightness. You can basically just change the colors of that layer. Underneath that, we have the color balance. This again just allows you to change different things. For example, we're editing the shadows. You can do midtones and highlights. Again, just kind of changing the colors of what you've already drawn. Underneath that, we have curves. And again, this just plays around with colors, lighting, and different shades. You can just kind of play around with this and get a feel for what you can do with it. You also have the gradient map. This just kind of gives you different options that they already have presets on. I don't really use any of this stuff. I just kind of pick my colors how I actually want them, and I don't really do much with this. So the next little section is the blurs. This is pretty important for most things. I'm not sure how to say that, so I'm not going to say it. This first one here, it just allows you to blur the entire thing. So what you want to do to apply it is just drag on your screen and it starts blurring it out. As you can see, there's a little percentage at the top of how much you're actually applying. Underneath that, we have the motion blur. This just kind of blurs it in whatever direction that you're pulling your screen. So if you do it up or down, that's how it's going to look, or side to side. It just kind of depends, again, however you're dragging your finger. Next up is perspective blur. This just allows a center to be not as blurry as the edges, which is a pretty cool effect for some things. I don't really use this one too much, honestly. Underneath that section, we have noise, which is pretty cool. So if you slide your finger, it's going to give this little texture to your drawing. And that is pretty good if you don't want people to steal your images as your own, because it's hard to draw out watermarks whenever there's noise. Underneath all of that, honestly, I'm not too sure because I don't really use it, but again, you can kind of just play around with different settings to figure out a little bit more about Procreate. So up here at the top, this little wrench allows you to do a lot of different things. You can add things like files, photos, you can take a photo, you can add text, cut and copy your canvas and layers. Over here in Canvas, you can crop and resize if you selected the wrong image size. That has happened to me a few times. And there's also things like animation assist, page assist, and drawing guides, which we'll get into that in a little bit. You can also add a reference. So if you wanted to import an image, let's say of someone's face, or you can even take a picture. That is basically what my iPad sees. But you can do this for reference guides if you're drawing something, but you're having to actually look at it in order to draw. This is something pretty good. I don't really do it that much. And of course, that's just a little bit more stuff about the canvas. And the other important thing in the wrench is the share. So this is how you're going to import your image whenever you're finished. You can do different file types such as Procreate, PSD, PDF, JPEG, PNG, and a TIFF. I don't really mess with the bottom section. Under video, you can actually time-lapse record you drawing. So if you wanted to, let's say, draw it and then import it to social media for content, you can do that, and it just gives you the options right there. Of course, you have your preferences. I don't really mess with any of this stuff, honestly. I just kind of use like the basics of what I've already showed you. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys 2 different ways that you can import the nail design template into Procreate. The first one is once you already have your project open. Again, you want to go ahead and select your canvas size, and from here you want to select the little wrench at the top, and you want to make sure the action is set to add. From here, it gives you different options like inserting a file from your files on your device, inserting from your photo gallery. So it kind of just depends where you saved your nail design templates to. Me personally, when I've tested my website out, I go ahead and save it directly to my files, but you can use photos. Honestly, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to go ahead and select from files since that's where I have mine saved. From here, I have them saved on my iPad and I have it under templates. For the purpose of this video, I'm going to be using a 3XL coffins, so I'm going to go ahead and select that folder. As you can see here, these are all of the files that you're going to get whenever you purchase the template bundle from my website. So in the folder, you should get a .procreate, a JPEG, and also a PNG, and it kind of just depends what purpose you're using them for, but for the purpose of importing them here, I'm going to go ahead and select the PNG. So off camera, I did decide to add my watermark just for the sake of this video, but keep in mind, these templates do not have anything on them. It is just the plain template. So right after importing, you'll see that it's already selected, and this just allows you to move it around on your screen. You can make it bigger, smaller. You can basically move it around however you want. Whenever you're ready to go ahead and start drawing on it, just select the brush. Something I want you guys to keep in mind is I selected screen size for the canvas size when I was doing the demonstration, and this template is not a screen size type of file, so just keep that in mind. This typically won't happen with the other options that I'm going to show you. So under layers here, you can go ahead and go to the background color and select any color that you like. So if you selected your PNG file, you will see that immediately you have a solid color now. You can pick anything that you want. So for the sake of this, since I didn't size these images exactly the same, I'm going to select the layer 2, which is the template layer, and I'm going to go ahead and select white. So with white, I'm just going to fill in these little things at the top and bottom. So to fill very quickly with Procreate, you can drag and drop the color, and basically that's how quick you can fill in an area of color. You don't have to sit and color it in. So now that we've imported the PNG template, you want to go to add another layer and drag this layer below the template layer. What this is going to do is allow you to draw on the background. So basically the outlines and the white background of the template are not going to be affected. I'm just going to select a darker purple color, and again, I'm going to pick my favorite, which is monoline. Here you can see that you can quickly draw on the templates however you want, and you're going to have a very clean, professional looking template. So again, that was not my favorite way to import files into Procreate. I'm going to show you a really cool trick if you use an Apple device to quickly import your design templates. I'm going to go to files because that's where I have my template design bundles stored. And again, I'm just going to pick the 3XL coffin. I do want to mention in each of my orders, there's actually 16 items because I do include a thank you card, but I just deleted mine for the sake of not wanting it. So with each style of template, you can see that there are 3 of them. So we have the .procreate, the JPEG, and the PNG. So if you're using an iPad or an Apple device and you already have Procreate installed, all you have to do to import the template directly to Procreate is tap the .procreate file. That just imports your template directly to Procreate, super quick and easy. Again, I did add my watermark logo off camera, but keep in mind you guys are not going to be getting that. It is just the pure template. So you can go ahead and add your background, add a second layer underneath the template layer, and start coloring. Super quick. One more thing I want to mention very quickly, it's not really related to templates, but I just learned this. You can actually select your project and hold it and stack it on top of other ones. And then you can name your stack, which is basically how I organized my entire Procreate app. So you can just tap it and you can see all of the projects that you have in that single stack. So let's go ahead and start editing the templates because I have a lot of tips and tricks and I'm super excited to show you guys. So the first thing I want to do is show you guys a single nail design and some cool tricks and tips. So I'm going to go ahead and add a background color. This is kind of like a nudish color that you would use for a French tip because that is going to be the first tip. I'm going to go ahead and create a new layer and place this underneath the template layer, and I'm going to pick a burgundy color. Okay, so this was something that I kind of noticed some people were having issues with, and that is French tips. It's one of the easiest things to do on Procreate. Let's get into it. So typically you would just kind of draw out your French tip, but it can be a little hard to get everything nice and even. So I mean, you could just do this and kind of eyeball it if you want to do something really quick. But if you want to show the template at all, it makes it very nice just to have something very clean and straight. So let me show you guys a really nice trick. You want to start at the corner of the smile line and go ahead and draw that nice deep smile and hold your pen down. When you hold it down, you're going to get a very smooth shape, which you can move around. Something else that is nice is after you let go, you can then press this little arrow down button and you can change the shape, but you can also edit the shape. So if it's not even like mine is, you can kind of even that out. So you can shorten your smile line or make it very deep. Once you have it like you want, since this is a layer underneath your template, you are going to have to do a little bit of work when it comes to filling in the rest of it. Let me show you guys. So if you want to drag and drop the color, it's going to color the entire thing. And the reason for that is if you turn off the template layer, you just drew a line. Basically the fill option, you have to fill in something that is a closed shape. So to do that, you just want to draw a big little shape. It doesn't matter how it looks, and drag and drop. When you do that, you instantly fill in the entire thing. Another very helpful thing when it comes to doing different designs is the symmetry option. So under the little wrench, if you select canvas and the drawing guide, you want to turn that on. You can select edit drawing guide, and then from here you can select symmetry. So basically this is going to repeat the exact same thing you draw on the other side of the line. You can move this line around and you can actually change the color of the line too, just so you can see it a little bit better depending on what you already have down. So then if you go to layers, underneath the layer name, it will say assisted. That just means that the drawing guide that you have turned on is active on that layer. So from here, you can just go ahead and start drawing whatever you want, and it's going to mirror that exact drawing on the other half of that line. So if you go ahead and select a different layer and start drawing, the symmetry is not going to be active because that layer does not say assisted. So if you do want the assist on that layer as well, just tap it again and select drawing assist, and then the assist will be active on that layer as well. I'm going to change the background color for this just to give you guys something different to look at. So if you ever need the exact color that you've already used, just go ahead and tap and hold, and it's going to pick up the color picker, and you can go ahead and select that same color if that's what you want. I'm going to take that color and make it quite a bit darker. I'm going to show you guys how to do the quickest and easiest ombre that you've ever done in your life. So I'm going to go to brushes, and underneath the drawing there's one called Blackburn. This is a Procreate brush. I really like this one. I'm going to make it quite big and just fill in the bottom of the nail. Now this doesn't have to be perfect, but it can make a difference depending how uneven it is. So then I'm going to go to the magic wand and select the first blur and drag that up. You can make this as strong or as soft as you want, but that's basically how you do an ombre. It's super quick and easy. So I have something else that's pretty important that I want to tell you guys about, and that's drawing different shapes. So if you want a straight line, again, all you have to do is just kind of draw loosely how you want it and then hold it down, and it's going to make it straight. Again, whenever you lift up, you can tap this little banner that says edit, and you can move that around. Now, something that I do want to mention, which is something that I recently learned, is if you draw a very short line and then you go to edit it, if you stretch it out very far, it's no longer a line, it's dots. So if you want to draw a very long line, try to make the length of it as close to how long you need the line to be, so there's no inconsistencies when it comes to how your line looks. Another thing that's quite important is whenever you draw your line, you can actually, while you're holding it down, you want to tap your finger down and it's going to move in, I believe it's 15-degree increments. So if you need the line to be straight down but you can't quite figure out what is straight, tap with another finger and it's going to make that line straight with the image. So now let's move on to circles. I was struggling so hard with circles in the beginning. So anytime you draw a circular shape in Procreate, it's going to give you an oval. As you can tell, this is an oval. All you have to do is tap and it will create a circle. It took me so long to figure that out. Again, whenever you lift up, you can then edit the circle and you can actually make it into an oval. I'm going to show you guys something else that is pretty cool and might come in handy. I'm going to go ahead and start out by drawing a circle. I'm going to fill that in. So this is on a single layer. So the only thing on this layer is that green circle. I'm going to add another layer and we're going to tap that second layer that I just made and select clipping mask. You're going to see this little arrow pop up, and that means that you are using the clipping mask for the layer that's just below. I'm going to select a light color, probably not the same as the background. Let's do purple. Okay. I'm going to also pick a different brush. This should be fine. So basically what the clipping mask does is allow you to only color on the layer below. Let's pick a different color and a different brush. Again, as you can see, it only colors on the layer below, which was that circle. So that is basically just what the clipping mask does, allows you to only color on the layer below it. This can be pretty helpful if you're doing something like rhinestones, or if you're trying to add more detail to something very specific and you don't want to spend a lot of time doing it. The next thing we're going to talk about is importing an image to use for your nail templates. So let's say you're doing character nail art and you don't want to draw the character by hand, you want to just go by an image, but you want the whole design to be together. You can just import the image directly to your template and draw out the rest of the nails. So I went ahead and searched on Pinterest and found this pretty cool looking cartoon character. And if you click the three dots in the top, which you can't see, you can actually download the image. Please keep in mind to fully give credit whenever you use someone else's image and be very careful of copyrighted work. Please let me know if that wasn't the original creator down below so I can properly give credit. So going back to the little wrench, I'm going to click add and insert a photo. Here you can see the image I just downloaded from Pinterest, and it's going to import it to your template. So it did add this image over top of the template layer, so I'm just going to drag that down under. So going back to the transform button, which is this little mouse looking thing here, I'm going to make this quite a bit bigger, and I'm actually going to do freeform, because with freeform you can actually stretch it out. You can move things however you need, but that's just the basics of adding an image to use in your nail design templates. So in real time, I'm going to very quickly edit one of these templates because I have something in mind, but I want it to look quite put together. So let's go ahead and start doing that. I'm gonna go ahead and just add a background color. Again, I kind of want like a nude color, something like this. I'm going to be doing some French tips. Not with that brush. That was the long way. This one I'm going to leave blank. I want to do this a little bit simple just for the sake of this video. I'm going to do this the quick way. That was bad. I have to fix this one. Again, I'm just doing this really quickly, so they might not be perfect, but you get the idea. I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing on this side too. That is not even at all. I need to fix it. Sometimes you get a little bit different of a shape, so if you click this little arrow down, you can change it to an arc. Just a little tip for you guys. Okay, so now I have my French tips. I'm going to show you guys how to add rhinestones. Now, in the beginning, I didn't know how to do rhinestones, and the best way that I found is actually importing an image. However, I made things a lot easier for you guys, and I created a rhinestone pack. So really quick, I'm going to go out of this and go to my rhinestone pack. As you can see, I do have a PNG background, and I actually have a lot of different colors. So I have the AB, which is kind of like a little bit of color. We have the plain silver ones, orange, red, purple, yellow, green, blue, baby pink, and emerald. So that is the rhinestone pack. I'm still working on a few things here and there for it, but by the time this video is up, it should already be live on my website, and it's going to be free. So if you guys want a quick way to do rhinestones for your templates, go ahead and head over to my website. So in this video, you guys have already seen me import images onto your projects, and you can definitely do that if you download this rhinestone pack and save it to your files or photos. I'm going to show you another way. So let's say you have the rhinestone pack as a project on Procreate. It doesn't have to be this, it could be with anything, but you want to go to the layer list and select the one that you want for your project. So for the template that I'm editing, I do want the emerald pack. I'm going to tap and hold that layer and drag it off of the layer list. With another finger, I'm going to tap the screen, and as you can see, I'm still holding that layer. So I'm going to go back to that project. So I'm going to go to my 3XL coffins, tap that project. As you can see, I'm still holding that layer of rhinestones, and I'm going to drop it. anywhere on the screen, and it imports that layer directly to the one that you're working on. So I'm going to turn off the template layer so you guys can see. Again, you can move things around. So I'm going to be doing multiple rhinestones, and I only have this one layer of rhinestones. So I'm actually going to duplicate this. To duplicate a layer, all you have to do is slide it to the left. You get 3 options to lock the layer, duplicate the layer, and delete the layer. Of course, we're going to duplicate that. I'm going to move the second layer over here just to get it out of the way. So going back to the layer that is big, I'm going to select the eraser and make it pretty big. Let's say I want this square one, so I'm going to erase all the rhinestones around it. I am going to turn the template layer back on because I don't want to confuse you guys too much. So I still have that one rhinestone selected, so I'm going to go ahead and move that around. You can drag this green dot around to change the angle, or you can just use your fingers, whatever works for you. I'm just going to place it right about there. So as you can see, this selection box is pretty big, and that just means I didn't erase everything. So I'm just going to erase a little bit more, and there we go. So once again, I'm going to turn the template layer off so I can see the other set of rhinestones that I'm working with. I want to do like 2 more just to make it kind of simple. So again, you want to duplicate that layer. I'm going to move this so you guys can see better. I'm going to erase around one of these. Let's just pick this one right here. So we're going to erase all of the rhinestones around it. I keep having to take breaks because my camera keeps overheating because I'm recording in like 4K. Okay, so turning that template layer back on so you guys don't get all confused, I'm going to go ahead and move that rhinestone over. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. So you can make it however big or small you want. I'm going to place it right there. Then going back, we're just going to do something simple again. So turn the template layer off so you guys can see. And I'm going to erase around, let's do this little like pear shape. I'm not good with like names of like rhinestone shapes and like diamond shapes. So whatever this one is called. Again, template layer back on so you guys can see, and move that over. Like I said, you can use your fingers to adjust this. I just find it a lot easier to use the pencil. Something like that. You guys get the idea. So let's say I want to make this exact rhinestone pattern or shape or design or whatever I drew onto the other nail. Now I'm not going to sit and redo that entire thing. So what you want to do is select the layer, tap again, and hit merge down. This basically just combines the layers like it says, merge down. Again, we have the rhinestones right here. So from here, I can duplicate this layer and then move it around. So as you can see, we just did 2 nails of rhinestones for the time of 1. So let's say you want to add some color to your template. You can definitely do that. Again, you want to make sure you're doing this on the template layer or above. Keep in mind, if you do it above, you're going to be erasing the outlines. And if you do it below, it's not going to show up. I'm going to do this on the template layer itself. I'm going to pick kind of a deep bluish color, bluish green. Drag and drop that to the background. Now I'm also going to do some skin color. I'm so bad at picking skin colors, guys. That's fine. Drag and drop that onto my fingers. Around the ring, you are going to have to do another one, which kind of sucks, but. So you can do a lot more than that. You can obviously go in and add shading and all that, but I'm just doing something a little more simple. So the next big extra thing I want to show you guys is adding shading and highlights to the nails to give it more depth. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in so you guys can see what I'm doing a little bit better, and I'm going to select the color that I did for the base. I want to make this color quite darker, but not too much. For the pen, again, I'm just using monoline. It's my favorite thing. I use it for everything that I draw. You can adjust the size here just to make it a little easier. So on a new layer, underneath the template layer, I'm going to be adding shadows. Now you can pick a light source. Typically, if you do something like this, the light is coming from this area or this area. I think it's easier just to pick a side because then you can know exactly where to put your shading and highlights. So I'm going to act as if my light is coming from this direction. If you guys didn't know, nails are typically curved, so I'm going to make my line curved from the cuticle to the tip. But this is quite a long nail, so I do want it to be a little straight in the middle. Something like that. Now this doesn't have to be perfect, but you want to go ahead and do that on all of the nails. If you really wanted to get fancy, you could just duplicate that layer and move it to all of the other nails, but I like just doing this by hand. So I accidentally deleted this rhinestone layer and you guys didn't even tell me. Rude. But we're going to go ahead and do the shading on this hand. Again, the light source is over here, so the dark side should be on the left side. Something else I want to quickly mention is if your lines are quite shaky and you don't want that, but you also don't want to hold it down for a specific line shape, you can actually go to your brush, and in the settings of your brush, right here, there's stabilization, and you turn that amount up. Basically, that is going to let your line be a lot smoother. So if you're quite shaky, it's going to smooth your line out quite a bit. So that might be helpful if you're quite shaky. That can be... Where did that come from? That is just a little helpful tip. Something else you might want to do is add some shading to your rhinestones. So I'm going to go ahead and do that really quick. Doesn't have to be perfect. This is just a guide, guys. Okay, so that is basically the shading, but you can also add highlights. So going back to the skin color, I'm going to whiten this up quite a bit. Almost white. And we're going to do the same thing. However, this is a highlight, so it comes from the direction of where the light is coming from. I'll be honest, this isn't showing up that well on the French tips just because they're already white. But if you're doing this on like a colored nail, it really shows up. So I did just remove the layer that has my watermark on it because it's getting a little complicated to see and I want you guys to get the full effect. So on the highlights and shadows layer, you want to select this little N. This is how you change the opacity and how you do the different like screen layering that it does. I'm not sure, I can't think of the word right now. But you can kind of go through this list and you can see how it's affecting that layer and how it looks for your template. Typically for shadows and highlights, I like to do overlay, but the shadows look a little lighter today. So I'll be honest, I don't know that much about like different layer options. I'm just gonna pick luminosity and turn the opacity down a bit. Now that just looks a lot better because we added a lot more color and depth for the template. Another thing I like to do is add another layer above the shadow and highlights layer and pick white. Again, we're doing monoline, but I'm going to turn the size down just a bit. I like to add little highlights like this. I would typically do it down here as well. However, it's a white French tip, so you can't see it. Just going to do this on the base of the nails. So for that layer, I don't really do anything to it, but you can do things like the blur option just to give it more subtle highlights, but I just kind of like it like this. It looks really cute. So another thing you can do to take this one step further is to add some shiny highlights for the rhinestones because they're shiny. So going above the template layer, I'm going to make another layer and we're going to select luminance. There is this light flare which I really like to add. It makes things look very sparkly. Again, you can adjust the size of this brush. So for this light brush, it is kind of more of a stamp because all you have to do is just tap. So I'm going to go ahead and tap over around my rhinestones. The bigger that this brush gets, the more offset that it is. So do keep that in mind. I kind of want this around this dark area of the rhinestone. There we go. Then you can kind of like play around and do a smaller one for the smaller rhinestones. So again, that extra sparkle at the end is not necessary. It just adds a little bit of a cute touch to your template. The last thing you want to do is go ahead and save it to your photos. So going to the little wrench right here, you want to make sure you're under the share option, and then you can pick what type of file you want to save it as. I just want a regular JPEG. So it does give you the option to directly send it to people from this screen. You can import it into other apps and all these other options. I'm just going to click Save Image. So it said that the export was successful, and that is how you edit the nail design templates using Procreate. Now keep in mind, you do not have to use Procreate. You can use any drawing app. I prefer drawing apps that have different layers. Again, you can see why layers are so important when it comes to editing these templates. You can even use apps like Canva or Bizart, which is one of my favorites. I do want to let you know that the next video I have planned using the design templates is going to be a Canva tutorial. So if you don't want to miss out on that, do make sure to subscribe and turn the post notifications on so you do not miss out on that video. Do make sure to give this video a big thumbs up if you found it helpful, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace!